Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Performance Link. What seems like an eternity, 2 weeks has gone by. We pick up for round number 4 at Donington Park here. My name is Andy Thompson. I'm joined here in the commentary booth, as always, with Mr. Dave Whitehouse, and in the production, we've got the wonderful Lewis Arara to giving you our pictures here today. So, Dave, Donington Park, 2 30-minute races, a great return to the track, I would think.
Yeah, brilliant circuit to be returning to. It's my local. It's a circuit I've loved for years. A couple of tricky corners around here, which can catch the drivers out, and have done in qualifying as well. So, be interested to see how the drivers get back into it after what has been a 2-week break after 3 weeks straight of racing. And this is really a bit of a crucial point. We've got 3 races on the trot here before we head to another 2-week break. So it's about momentum now in this championship.
Yeah, it certainly is. 3 rounds down now, so the guys know the 3 different formats. But we do throw in another format here in this 3 races. So tonight we've got Format A, the 2 30-minute races around Donington Park. Next week we go to the Nürburgring, the 24-hour Gemstreck, for an hour-long race. So I think the drivers are really looking forward to that. And then 3 weeks' time we go over to Spa for the first of our 2 rounds of endurance races of 2 hours. So the drivers are really going to be looking forward to that. And obviously, as they've got the same fixed setup, it's going to be interesting, Dave, because they've only got enough fuel for 30 minutes. So do they try to save fuel around Spa on the 2-hour event? It's going to be about a 2 or 3, maybe even 4 pit stops around Spa. So that's going to be an interesting mix. But obviously, that's in the future. And tonight, we do have Donington Park. So what we'll do is we'll have a look at the current point standings early on. Bear in mind that the drivers do have 2 drop rounds to go in. And at the moment, the drop rounds are not in the system. That will be put in after round number 6. But in the Pro, we have leading it with a very slender margin of 1 point is Thomas Cope, and unfortunately Thomas is not able to join us, so I'm sure he's joining us on the YouTube. So sit back, Tom, and Thomas, and enjoy the race. In second, we got Matty Chambers, who is here tonight on 70 points, so he's got a good opportunity to take that lead in the Pro. Irish Germantus is here tonight. Oscar Christiansen, don't believe he is here. Elliot Hellier in 5th. Scott Mokes in 6th, who is a pole sitter tonight for the Pro category. So a great opportunity for Scott to get some very valuable points. In 6th, we got in 7th, we got Aaron Powell. 8th, Harry Wills. 9th, Jacob Behrens driving that GT3 Ford car. And rounding out your top 10 is Kim Andre Borkland.
Yeah, so that's the Pro standings. And in Pro-Am, we've got the Danish driver Patrick Thompson leading the way on 69 points, 3 points clear of Michael Hooper for Team Bear Pope, who has his teammate James Logston not far behind on 54. Max Wolf is 4th on 50 points, equal with Russ Fowler for the Performance Link esports team. Tom Stevens is 6th from Casper Tunston. Tom Bingham in 8th place ahead of Jimmy Vark, and Alex Scarrett rounding out the top 10 in Pro-Am.
Moving over swiftly over to the AM category, Steve Pearce heading out that with what is a commanding lead at the moment of 74 points over Gordon Hagen, 2nd place on 67. Joe Sal in 3rd on 63. Sander Island in 4th on 61. Darren Doherty in 5th on 58. Mad Sia in 6th place on 53. Chris Rance in 7th on 40. Nicholas Gronstone in 39 points in 8th. In 9th, we've got Nigel Stock on 28th, and in 10th, Ovid Bredvik with 27.
And as we look on to the final category, the rookies, Matthew Gerard leading away on 81 points from Paul Joseph Klisk on 76. Lydia Rose is 3rd on 56 from Rich Jameson Smith, the winner of the opening round on 53. Morten Hansen, Jakob Szymanski, Lewis McClenny, Andy Booth and Dan Fendick round out the runners in the rookie class. And obviously, because it's got to pass round 3, we do have a couple of changes in the categories, as we will mention as we go on, and the points will be updated later on for that.
Yeah, but looking over at the team championship at the moment, so heading out the field is Evo SR with 143 points. Hot on the heels, Team Bear Pope on 148, Sim Racing Norway 136, and a little bit of a gap to the second Evo SR team, Evo SR Black on 115, and our very own Performance Link Esports there in 5th place with 109. Olympus Esports on 103 in 6th place. Project Racing in 7th, Reckless Abandonment in 8th. In 9th place, we've got Nordic Racing, and in 10th, we've got GK Actimane. So very hot contested team championship there tonight. But as you were saying, Dave, a couple of the drivers, we have changed them round. So just so you are aware, so from the Pro-Am going down to the Am, we have Daniel Lilivek and Jimmy Vark. They have come down a class to the Am field for this race. And from the Am field down to the rookie class, we have Carl Gray and Victor Lin. So that's based on their current performance in their free races, and then basically look at that. So Dave, do you want to take us round a lap around Donington?
Yeah, we're on board here with Mercedes down into Redgate corner. Drops it down into 3rd gear. You want to keep the back end stable on the exit, as there's as he doesn't do so there, but down through Hollywood over to the top of the hill, down the crane of curves. There's a car in the way. He goes to the outside, manages to get round into the old hairpin. Now this is one of the tricky corners. It's quite easy to turn in, but getting the exit right is important. Under Starkey's Bridge and up towards the next set of corners. Perfect overtaking in terms of touring cars, but can the GT cars do it there? And we'll go up to Coppice at the top of the hill, blind crest. The apex right on the top of a crest, so you just don't want to run out too wide here. Get the good run out onto the back straight. The Dunlop Bridge has gone, but it's still called the Dunlop Straight, down to the chicane. The S is at the end. High sausage curves on the inside of here. Down to 3rd gear for Russ Fowler in the Mercedes. Just rides one curb, doesn't throw it over the second one, and that is the very short lap at Donington Park National, where traffic, even though we're in 30-minute races, could be crucial.
Yeah, it definitely is. Our grid is, obviously, we do have 60 drivers, but only 40 drivers have managed to take the challenge of Donington race with these 2 30-minute races. So probably luck, I would think, that we've got the 40 cars. Still a lot of cars, still a lot of GT3 cars. Average lap time around here will be the low or the high 102s, down into the 103s is going to be the optimal time for round the pros. Around about the 103s to the 104s for the Pro-Ams and the amateurs, and then around about the 103, 104 going into the 105s maybe for the rookie class. So it's going to be a tricky, and we haven't really had it, Dave, before, where, you know, passing hasn't really been a problem with back markers, but this being such a small track and only a 1 minute 2 lap, there's going to be these pros are going to be hitting the back of the rookie classes quite quickly early on in this race. I mean, it's only 30 minutes, so they may not be able to overtake the AMs as well, but who knows?
Yeah, it's going to be difficult, especially in the second race, where obviously the grids won't be split into classes. So if you have a bad first race and you don't get back through in that first race, the second race is going to be pretty hairy for you, especially in the opening few laps, especially if you're like pro driver near the back of a field or something. We already know, say, Matthew Gerard from rookies, very quick all season. He's going to be missing the first race and will be in for the second race. So he'll be already starting at the back thinking, how will I take advantage of these things that may happen out on track? So it'll be interesting to see how the drivers try and attack this. 30 minutes, obviously not a lot in terms of our endurance races that we've been running. You know, when we say an hour around the Nordschleife, it's a completely different challenge to this. So it'd be interesting to see how they get on, as the drivers now are still heading out just for that little bit last practice.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's going to be entertaining. So obviously the way that we do the startup grids here at Donington is to put their cars in their classes based on their qualifying position. So even if a Pro-Am, because actually a Pro-Am did top the qualifying times in the qualifying session, but he will not start from the front of the grid. He will start from the front of his class. Each of the classes will have a 5-second gap in between each of the classes, and then basically they will all go on the green. And like Dave said, you know, the second race will be certainly entertaining with a mix-up. We normally see that pro category sort of splintered out from the issues that they do have. So I'm probably envisaging, Dave, a little bit more of that here today.
Yeah, it could very much be, and the whole sort of splintering out of, you know, it's such a short circuit that even a tenth of a second could drop you down a class or two. So it's what we're really not looking for as drivers, as we really want to the drivers really want to get stuck in there with their classes. They requested for the starts to start like this, which is fair enough. I understand that, but then you might get these other classes just nibbling in there every now and again. So it'd be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, it does. It looks like we do have a technical difficulty. It looks like it's iRacing in its wisdom has skipped the first race. I'm just looking there because we should be gridding up for the first race, but it looks like it's skipped it, and looks like it's gone straight to a warm-up. So we may just have the 30-minute race here tonight. Good old technical difficulties from iRacing, but I'm not sure quite what has happened there on the session, but we still have Summit racing here tonight, so they have got a 5-minute warm-up if they're not warm enough already on the track. So a little bit of technical difficulties here out on track with iRacing. The joys of iRacing, eh, Dave?
Yeah, it's I mean, I don't even know how it's done that, but obviously the the second race was meant to be top 8 reverse, so obviously that it will be into account. So we will have a look at we will leave Andy and Tom and the team to have a look into how that's going on, and while we do so, I will talk you through some of the things that are going out on track. We're having a look at David Gill here. We did some interviews with David Gill earlier on in the season. Reckless abandon driver. Actually found out that I could have raced him in go-karts at one point, so it's quite interesting to see how David gets on in the sim as he then disappears from screen. And here is Jacob Behrens, the only Ford GT on the track at all this season so far. Took on the challenge of the Ford Beast, and is doing not too badly in the pro category with it, and really pushing on in terms of that. So it'd be interesting to see if that Ford can just get, I think he's cracked top 10 this season, but can it just find that track that suits it and maybe just puts it right up there into the best positions. So we'll see how it goes, but yeah, certainly not the start Jacob would have been looking for, but it's a difficult car to drive throughout.
Yeah, it certainly is, but he's certainly taken the challenge. You never really see the Ford GT3 in any of the leagues, but we threw the challenge out to the drivers, and Jacob gladly took the challenge on. And to be fair, he's not been doing too bad in it, Dave. I mean, I think we looked at Watkins Glen. He got caught up in an incident coming up through the S's, which wasn't his bit of unlucky. He was running really well in that. Sebring, I think it was the same. He's just had a bit of unfortunate luck with incidents of getting involved with other drivers. I mean, I think the pace is there in that Ford, and if he can get the opportunity to get out there in front and have clear air, I think he'll do quite well in that Ford.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem to be a bit of a struggle in traffic controlling it, and obviously it's a little more unpredictable, shall we say, than some of the other cars. But you go back a couple of iRacing seasons ago, the Porsche was really difficult to try and drive. So, and look at that now. That's the car which everybody seems to pick. So it just swings and roundabouts in iRacing, and the GT cars are certainly bopped every now and again for the whole thing.
So what it looks like iRacing has done here is inverted the top 8. So unfortunately, Scott Moak should be our pole sitter here for the first race, but unfortunately, iRacing has skipped the first race, and damn it for doing that. But we're at the mercy of iRacing, so we still have a good 30 minutes of racing. So take you through your grid here. On pole position, it is Dean Powell with Kim Andre Bortland in second, Arias Chamantis in third, Nikolai Frayne in fourth, Jacob Behrens in fifth, Aaron Powell in sixth, Elliot Hellier in seventh, Scott Mokes in eighth, Matty Chambers in ninth, Matt Loveridge in 10th, and rounding out your pro field in the top of the pro-ams, we have Michael in the top of the pro-ams, we have Michael Hoopler and James Logden in second place.
Yeah, 13th is Christoph Otterholt and Russ Fowler, Casper Tunstad and Alex Scarratt, Patrick Thompson and Tom Bingham, with Bob Humphrey and Kev Copeland rounding out the top 20. Simon Modlet and Steve Pearce are at the front of the Anfield.
Yeah, we've got David Gill in 23rd, Sander Island in 24th, David Gill in 25th, Nicholas Guanson 26th, Jimmy Vark, Daniel Slater, Joe Sal, Mad Sear, Daniel Lillyveg, Sam Curran, Hendrik Howson, Chris Rance, John Tressida, and Nigel Stock.
And then we head towards the rookies, where we have Lewis Mulvaney, Victor Lind, Matthew Gerard, Paul Cliss, and Lydia Rose at the back of the field.
Definitely is. So the cars are just going around turns 9 and 10, the S's for the pro start here. We can see all classes will be going on the green lights, but we've got Dean at the front of this grid, going to head out the track, and there we are. We are now racing. Jacob Perrin trying to make an early lunge on the inside, coming down into turn number 1. He's got that inside line. Is he going to be able to keep it around there? Oh no, he gets contact again, and the pros have a little bit of a pile up, and the top 3, Dean Powell, Auckland and Frayne, managed to get away. Michael Hooper there in 7th place at the top of your Pro-Am field. In 6th place, Aaron Powell in 7th, and just looking back here at the Pro-Ams, James Logdon in 8th, Christian Otterholt in 9th, so 3rd in class in that Pro-Am division. Just looking a little bit further back, Simeon Modeklev has managed to keep his position in that amateur field. Kev Copeland's just lost a bit of a time there in 18th place at the moment. Steve Pierce in 2nd place, and David Gill rounding out your amateur field. Looking back at the rookies then, Lewis McKevy has managed to keep that pole position he started with the rookie field. Paul Joseph Clist has managed to get up 5 places from where he started, and he is challenging now for that lead and has managed to take it here in this opening lap. So Paul Joseph Clist, I think Lewis McKevy might have had an issue there, because Lydia Rose has managed to get into 2nd place. So yeah, Lewis, who was leading that Am field, has had a bit of an issue there and has moved down into 3rd overall.
Yeah, it looks like he may have just gone straight across the chicane at the end of the lap, but this is a replay of the start as we see the pro category come across the start. A great start by Jakob Burns, goes straight onto the grass actually to try and avoid the Mercedes. He gets a great start, goes up the inside, doesn't set any contact. Yeah, he gets squeezed, but it is free abreast. There's not a lot anybody could do. I think that is the 71 of Yao Mantis, and also is that Scott Mokes who also gets involved in the 10 Porsche. So yeah, not the best of starts for them, and the rest of the field come flying by, and they rejoin safely, but just not the most ideal of starts. But it is at the front, it's Kim Andre Borkland leading the way from Dean Powell and Matty Chambers, Matt Loveridge in 4th and Aaron Powell in 5th. That is the only pros left in the top of the table, because the next one down is Elliot Hellier down in 10th place at this moment in time.
Yeah, certainly is a bit of controversy at the start of this race in that pro field. You normally do get to see these days. The pro field really try hard on that first line to maximise the positions, because it's so easy for these guys to slightly get away. But just riding on board at the moment with Matt Loveridge in 4th place. Just staring at the back of the Evil SR team of Matty Chambers there in 3rd place. Dean Powell in 2nd, like you said. Kim Andre Bortland has just come through the field and really capitalised on all that issues in that opening lap, and he currently leads out this race. He was around about, I think it was 8th or 9th overall in the pro field, but that first corner has really shook them up. And as we can see, Michael Hooper there in 6th place is currently heading out the Pro-Am field with James Logdon in 2nd place there in 7th overall. But I'm pretty sure that Elliott will be trying to make his way back, the pro driver there in 8th up the field. Casper Tungsten in 3rd overall, with Thompson struggling a little bit here tonight. We saw him out in Silverstone at the race of his life, 4th overall he was in there. Oh, and a bit of an incident at the background there. I think that was Alexander Scarrett coming from there, and he is just piling down the field there. So we'll probably get a replay there. And there's, so we see there, who was that? Was that Tungsten just getting it slightly wrong coming up Coppice? Let's have a look and see what happened to Alexander Scarrett here then. So coming down at the Craner curves, is it the first victim coming through the old hairpin? So literally taking it wide. Oh yes,
yeah.
it does.
Yeah, that's a strange one as well, because normally cars run wide, but it looked like it must have tried to cut the corner a little bit too sharply and bounced into the pothole. And here is another drive. There we are in the background, just running out wide. And then we have Casper Tunstad coming up to Coppispend. Perfect touring car overtaking place here, but just loses the back end, catches it, but then just has to run out wide just to make sure and rejoins as safely as he can.
Yeah, it definitely is. That's two victims there from the old hairpin, one of the corners you mentioned at the start of the race here, but very racy at the moment. Tom Bingham's having a really good battle with his teammates here. Russ Fowler, I do know that these two have got an inner bet between themselves to see who will come out on top, but at the moment Russ Fowler is winning out on that honours. As we look further up the field, Dean Powell there in second place, and Borkland's managed to really get away from this field. 1.6 seconds between himself and Dean Powell here on the lap number 3 here around Donington Park. 5 minutes into a 30-minute race here, and with Dean Powell got leverage all over the back of him, it gives really Borkland the opportunity to try and scamper away. So at the moment he's really capitalising on the fact that Dean Powell's having to look behind him.
Yeah, that's always the way it is in racing. If you're not looking forward, you're not going quick enough. And speaking of going quick enough, McLenny is back in the lead of rookies. So he's managed to get past Lydia and Paul Cliss straight after we had left him behind. And he is now ahead of Howardson as well, and up into 32nd overall. So it'll be interesting to see whether he can make progress upfield. They will have people like Jakob Behrens trying to come back through the field. And speaking of people coming back through the field, Scott Mokes, he may be on pole for the first one, but got involved in that incident. He is working his way back through, slowly but surely, heading back towards the top 20.
Yeah, certainly is. Heading out the field at the moment, Simeon Mulcleb. Is that James Logden been involved in an incident?
Powell has disappeared, yes.
Yeah, just see him tumbling down the timing tower at the moment as James Logden, and he looks like he's gone back to the pits. We've got John Trusseder and Victor Lind already casualties that are in the pit. So let's have a look here what happened to James as he's coming down the Dunlop.
I think you've got to look ahead, because Aaron Powell was also involved in this. And there we go. So we have Aaron Powell going round, and James, actually avoided the collision, but couldn't get the wheels back on the ground because it's so bobbly on the outside of there, and just ran into a wall. So he's lucky to go straight into the pits, fast repair, straight back out.
Yeah, it definitely is. And if you're going to have an accident, it's probably best to have it there. You can get straight in, get that fast repair done. But Paul Joseph Cliss seems to be in a little bit of trouble here, going extremely slow, probably letting all the pro drivers through onto this lap. But pretty sure, yeah, you probably could catch him in about 3 or 4 laps if you've had some incidents here. But currently on board with Mad Sayer in 26th overall. He's around about 10th in class in the amateur category at the moment. Just got overtaken there by Alexander Scaret as they come down to the start finish. He does have the inside line. Oh, he may have 3 wide here coming into the first turn in here, but Alexander Scaret managing to get away. But the 2 cars, Mad Seer and Nigel Stock there, having a really good battle behind. Oh, as we see a car going out wide. Oh no, is he going to be able to save Daniel? Oh, manages to get back onto track and doesn't cause an absolute chaos. And there's the rare sight like a dodo bird of the second Ford GT3 car of Nigel Stock.
Yeah, that was pretty well done by Daniel, because I have seen many an accident, especially in real life down Mount Kronikers, where people trying to get back on the track too quickly, and it was probably the best choice. Maybe a bit too much speed coming back on, but did well, found the gap and managed to rejoin. So well done to Daniel for that, because that could have been nasty. As we now see Dean Powell falling down the and it was Hooper as well. So has another Powell been involved in an incident here? So Powell gets out the final corner. It just looks like he's not got a huge amount of straight line speed there, but keeps the car behind. And he gets, Hooper goes to the inside and spins Dean out. And I saw Hooper falling down the table as well, so I'm not sure if he spun just afterwards.
Yeah, I think I saw there he is in front
There he
of
is,
there.
yeah.
He just managed to get around some of the corner, but on that exit, literally hit too much of the gravel, spun his car. So unfortunately, didn't really need to make didn't really need to make that move. Being a pro-am driver against a pro, he doesn't really need to pay because the points in this. In this season are based on class overall position, not overall finishing position. So if a pro is in front of you, it doesn't really matter if you're a top man. And what that has done is promoted Patrick Thompson to the top of the pro-am standing, currently in 5th place overall. And from what was he struggling very much in the start of this race, has managed to get again back to his usual position at the front of that pro-am field. But currently looking at the front of this field, and Loveridge has managed to scamper away from Borkland. So Borkland must have had an issue because he was 1.7 seconds ahead of the field, and now all of a sudden we have a brand new leader of Matt Loveridge here, 2.2 seconds ahead of Borkland there in second.
Yeah, it's certainly a good lead for Loveridge at the moment. We've got an instant replay coming up. Oh, this is Loveridge going for the lead. So just ahead we can see there's still a huge gap, so there must be an off here for, yeah, there we go. Oh, there's the rejoin, and that is how Loveridge managed to take the lead for Olympus Esports. For possibly the first time this season that we see Loveridge out in front. Normally see Thomas Cope out there in Olympus Esports, but Loveridge now leading the way. Elliot Hellier up into 3rd place now. We said he was P10 at one point, but we know he comes strong in the second half of races, and here he comes again, as we're only 11 minutes into this at the moment. So still got a great chance of moving up into 2nd place here and threatening for that lead.
Well, we know this is where we normally see Elliot. We normally see Elliot in a 2nd, 3rd position. Normally has a little bit more of a gap to overcome. We saw this in Watkin Glen. He had a 4 seconds. He watched him takes a move there on Borkland through the S's. Didn't quite manage to make the move, and this could be an opportunity for Matty Chambers here in 4th position, managing to close down that gap, looking on the inside of his teammate, thinks better of it, and just bides his time to just probably try and follow Elliot through when he gets the opportunity to make that passing move on Borkland at the moment. But really closed up there due to the fact of those Hellier and Borkland having that little bit of a tussle through the last S's, which would have compromised their speed. That's given Matty a good opportunity to close the gap down now to join the race for this 2nd place. But what it is doing at the moment is, like you said, is Matt Loveridge at the front of this field, extending it to 3.5 seconds over this battle that we're watching on screen for 2nd place. And like you said, we normally see that Olympus Sport at the front of the field, but it's not Thomas Cope today. It is Matty Loveridge heading the torch for the Olympus Esports guys. But very interesting race ensuing here for the 2nd place in the pro category. Looking further back in the field then, Patrick Thompson is got a bit of a lead over Bob Humphreys there in 6th place in that pro-am category. So a little bit of a battle going on there. Simon Mildeclev in 10th place overall is still managing to keep out in front of the am, but that's a lot closer battle there. We can see Nikolai Frame just behind and Pierce, his main rival, about 1 second behind Mildeclev at the moment. And David Gill, who had such a strong race again at Silverstone, there in 3rd place of all. So it's more about the consistency for these lower ranked drivers to be able to keep the points racking up. But looking further back at the rookies, we've got Lewis Macaveni still holding out the lead, and he's got a substantial lead at the moment over the 2nd place guy, Paul Joseph Clist, who is down in 32nd position. So 10 places between Lewis and Paul at the moment in that rookie class. But there is 3 pro drivers that we can see in between them: Jacob Behrens, Aaron Powell and Dean Powell, 28th, 29th and 30th from that earlier incident on that opening lap. And in 3rd place we got Lydia Rosser, there our only female driver, down in 36th at the moment, and has a bit of a gap and a bit of an air to Matthew Gerard, who obviously did not start this race, who's currently leading out that rookie class. So all going to be interesting changes, but it's all about consistency, Dave, here in these races, certainly in the lower classes, to make sure that you keep chugging away and getting them points. You do get the 2 drop rounds, but you know, you want to maximize the points so that you can actually get where you want. But at the moment, it looks like that gap has slightly come down at the front of this range between Loveridge and Borkland.
Yeah, the gap's come down slightly, but Elliott still pushing Borkland along, and Loveridge just, I think, just controlling the gap now. He knows he's got another 15 minutes of a race to go, so it's just going to have to be a cautious race as we see Elliott now going for the 2nd place on Borkland down into Redgate corner, takes the inside line, leaving enough space for Borkland around the outside, and now they're going to go 2 wide down through Hollywood, through the Craner curves. Borkland will have the inside, Hellier the inside for the old hairpin. They both break nice and early, and the gap is still there, so Borkland still alongside. Chambers doesn't actually know where to go, left or right. He's trying to follow his teammate through, but can't, as they go up to McLean's. Up the inside still is Hellier. He doesn't want to run out too wide. It's brilliant racing between the two. Borkland still fighting it out on the outside. Patrick Thompson joining in the fight at the back. Hellier to the inside. Still room on the outside for Borkland, but I think Hellier has got it done this time, and he will cut in. Oh, he can't quite cut in because Borkland is still there, so he's got a tighter line into the S's at the end of a lap, but then gives the room to Hellier because you won't be going too wide through there. What a great lap of battling between the two.
Yeah, side by side for literally the complete of that lap, and both drivers giving each other maximum respect and enough room to have a decent race. But Elliott was not going to give up that position lightly, and neither was Kim Borkland there. Great racing, but Elliott has managed to get that 2nd place over there, and I can't see Kim being able to come back and probably challenge here, because this is where we normally see Elliott now starting to stretch that lead and start closing down, and that's almost like a carbon copy of the race that we watched between Thomas Cup. Oh, as we see there, Borkland just going slightly wide through McLean's and just coming off the back of that grid now. So Borkland's down into 4th place at the moment. Matt Chambers is still there in 3rd place, but lost a little bit of time. So this is the normal area that we see Elliott now start putting the hammer down and clawing that gap down. So let's see if Matt can keep out in front over the ever-charging Elliott Hellier in 2nd place.
Yeah, it's going to be a close battle, especially if all 3 of them can start working together to try and close on the lead, but I don't think they're going to, even though 2 of them are teammates. Patrick Thompson just sitting there going, well, I don't really want to get involved in this.
No, well, he doesn't need to, does he? He's a different class. He has got he's got a decent gap now to Bob Humphreys, who is the 2nd place driver in the Pro-Am category. So really doesn't need to push on the pace at all, does Patrick Thompson. But he probably just wants to get that podium position that eluded him in Silverstone. So if the opportunity does arrive for him, he will gladly take it. But looking further back in the AM field, we're looking at Simeon Mordeclev here in 11th place, still managing to keep ahead of Stuart Pearce in 12th place overall. So this is an ensuing battle in that AM category at the moment. But Sander Island a little bit further back, having a good battle with David Gill for that last podium place on that AM field there. Looking further back, Lewis McAvey is doing an exceptional job at the moment. He did say when we had the interview with him last week that Donington was one of his tracks that he was really looking forward to, and he's certainly got the pace at the moment, mixing it up very much towards the mid-pack and the top end of the AM field, so having an exceptional race at the moment. Paul Joseph Clist in 32nd, so 12 places behind Lewis is the 2nd place rookie driver at the moment. Got a bit of a gap between the 3rd place, our very own Lydia Rossa there in 35th. So that rounds out your field as it is at the moment.
Yeah, I just having a quick look at the chat. Lots of support from Rufy Mokes for Scott Mokes, overtaking 17 cars in 9 minutes, and he's still moving up through the field. So he's currently on for 6th in the class, and he can catch Nikolai Frayne to try and pass him yet. There's also support there for Thompson from 2ML, Sonny, and Danny Lee in the chat enjoying the lead battle as well. So it's great to see so many people in there, and keep pressing that like button and subscribe to the channel to make sure that you don't miss any of this. And remember, on the weekend, we have our podcast where we interview some of the drivers and tell you and help you through all the penalty decisions that are made from any incidents during the races.
Yeah, certainly do. And it's always a good chat to have meet the drivers. We never really get to see the drivers. We only ever get to see them on screen. So to actually physically see them, see what rigs they drive in, and obviously a little bit more about them outside the world of iRacing has certainly been an eye-opener. And I think the drivers are all thoroughly enjoying when we look at the penalty incidents when we go through them. So join us on the Wednesday if you do have time. But coming back to this race, Andre Borkland there in 4th place after that slight incident coming down through the Craner curves. Got it slightly wrong, lost the position, but as we can see now, Elliot Hellier really got a charge on, brought that time to Matt Loveridge in front, down by 1.7 seconds, so really closing in. You can see the last 3 laps there, around about half a second a lap. He is now closing in on our race leader, Matt Loveridge from Olympus Esports. So again, Elliot likes to do it the hard way, being able to have a little bit of a gap. I think he just likes the challenge of the car in front that you can see just about to chase him down. Yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see if he can close that gap. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, Loveridge a little bit slower overlaps, but not a huge amount. I mean, he's took about a second in the last 2, so it's got time, but will he make it? Just looking a bit further back, Tom Bingham, you know, we can't do favouritism in this, but championship organiser Tom Bingham, 2nd in Pro-Am and up to 6th overall on his best run of the season so far. And just got to mention that he is just ahead of Russ Fowler at this time.
Yeah, managed to win out on that race at the moment is Tom. There we can see Russ not that far behind, and the top of the AM there, Simeon Milklev in 10th place overall, just following Tungsten there, Kirsten Tungsten in 9th place. So an excellent race for Simeon there in 10th. Pierce about 1.1 second behind. You can just see him in the background in the BMW there trying to chase down, but at the moment Simeon just seems to have that pace in that Porsche. Porsche seems to be quite a competitive car around here. We've got it leading currently the Pro race, the AM race, and I think, I'm not sure what Lewis I think is driving the BMW, so he's bucking the mode there, I think, is Lewis in the rookie class.
Yeah, well, we've got to have somebody. No, there he is.
No, he is a Porsche.
Yeah, I was just thinking I thought he was. So, and to be honest, Lewis absolutely flying at the moment. I mean, I know there's always the look at who's in which class, but the way Lewis is going at the moment, I don't think he'll be staying a rookie a huge amount longer, as he now just sort of lets James Logston go by because he knows that that's not his battle here today. And he is really pushing on in the rookie class, just ahead of Aaron Powell at the moment, who's on his recovery drive, with Dean Powell down in 26th on his recovery drive. I might mention who's not on a recovery drive here today. Patrick Thompson, Elliot Hellier falling down the order, and it's out for race according to the timing screen. So I don't know if Lewis will be able to pick that up from somewhere, but Elliot Hellier certainly not coming up on our timing screens and was running 2nd overall.
Yeah, definitely looks like some sort of incident that's happened. We can see him in the pits at the moment on the timing tower. So something has happened to Elliot, maybe a hardware issue or something, but I'm sure our producer Lewis will try and find out possibly what has happened there to Elliot. But that's pretty much nullified the race. So let's have a look here. You can see Elliot coming down through the Craner curves on the back end now of the rookie field. What is going to happen here? Whoa!
Well, I'm not going to say a huge amount straight away, but Elliot, no. That was risky.
I don't know. I mean, I think the 2 cars in front of them made contact, which basically might have slowed them up enough to. Obviously, Elliot had no opportunity.
Oh yeah, we
or no
can't see
options done there, so.
we can't see what he sees at the moment, but just off
No.
that initial view, when you're running second overall,
Let's have a look.
there we
Let's have a
go.
look on
We
board.
always trust on Lewis, but yeah, he gets a run on Paul Clist on the exit. There's Lydia running out wide, so he goes past them. Then the two just chop up. He tries to go in the middle, but can't. And yeah, maybe he might not have been able to slow down quick enough with the two checking up, so he just went for what he thought was the best kind of option. But that is the kind of instant, if somebody flags it up, we will talk about it on the podcast on Wednesday and be able to look at it from all angles. But back out in front with 5 minutes remaining, Matt Loveridge is controlling this well ahead now of Matty Chambers, who has took over at second place for the same team as Hellier. Borkland still running in third place, so doing a great job after that initial start, and Patrick Thompson running in fourth ahead of Nikolai Frayne, and Scott Mokes now up into 8th overall, back to where he started after that opening lap. It's took him 25 minutes, and I'm sure Scott is probably wishing this was the full hour or 2 hour long race, because at the pace he's going, he'd be right up there. But currently Russ Fowler just sort of waves his teammate through, different class, and the next one up is Tom Bingham, who's also in the Performance Link esports team, so that will be probably an easy pass for Scott to then get onto Nikolai Frayne's rear.
Yes, definitely is. Obviously, this should be the first race in the second. iRacing has somehow managed to skip the heat race, so what we'll probably look at doing is having a 5-minute break or whatever at the end of this, so we can set up a new session for the drivers to get their second race in of this 230 minutes. So just obviously bear with us while we have that, but we still have a couple of minutes left here in this first race, and looks like Loveridge has cleared up that position for the pros at the front. Patrick Thompson has managed to get that third place overall, so does have an overall podium position, but I think the battle is probably for that AM as we look back at a replay here of Patrick Thompson here.
Yeah, this is the run up into Coppice, and he takes third place on the exit by the looks of it. Does yes, Borkland runs wide, and that just allows just clipping that grass has to delay him enough for Patrick Thompson to get through. So Thompson will have to watch out for Borkland trying to fight back later on in this race, as we only have a couple of laps to go. But currently looking comfortable in third place. But Matt Loveridge here heading up to some more traffic. We can see a rear of Jacob Behrens GT40 just in front, and a couple of other cars just in front. So Matt starting to get a bit of the quicker traffic as well in his way, but I can't see Matty Chambers too close behind, so I don't think he'll be too concerned with just a few laps to go how quickly he has to get through this. Yeah, Matt only just coming out the final corner now, so Loveridge will be quite satisfied to have 3/4 of the main straight clear of Matty Chambers in second place, and is currently lapping quicker. Chambers doing a good job for the Evo SR team, just keeping them up there in the points. And Scott Mokes now up in 6th place. We said that pass on Tom Bingham wouldn't be too difficult. That's not because of Tom's skill, due to them being in a team. And Scott Mokes is now on the rear of Nikolai Frayne, who's also been on his own recovery drive and done really well to get up into 5th overall. And actually, both of these are probably a little unlucky that the race is a bit longer, because they're only 3 seconds off the back of Borkland for a class podium. So they were really hoping it was going to be another hour or so long race, which they will get over the next 2 events. But they will obviously still get their chance next time out. Scott Mokes will have his pole position in the what now is the second race, not the first race. But Scott will certainly have the pace to try and win that race, I think.
Yeah, he's certainly got the pace on, and that's the problem with these shorter races. You know, everybody gets the mentality of I've got to take positions. Now, and unfortunately, we saw that in the pro field in the very first corner. That incident that pretty much split the field into the top 3 drivers getting away, the rest of the field trying to make up. But yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. You do normally see that with the pro drivers, though, as they're so aggressive to try and make the position gain here. But we're looking at James Logden just trying to make a pass here on Kev Copeland into the first corner. Kev manages to cut off that move there from James. So James still on the charge there to try and get P16th, which is 7th in the class. And unfortunately, our Ford driver again is managed to be on the grass.
Yeah, Jacob Burns, it sounds like, has gone wide. It looks like at McLean's, just runs in deep and just, whoa, no, that's all right. That's Paul Clist recovering, but he goes up the inside, which just loses it over top of a hill, which is so easy to do when you're trying to keep it tight. But if that has, Clist, I'm sure, was running second in his class at the time, so it'd be interesting to see who is now second in the rookie category. But we also missed out in the AM category. Steve Pearce is now leading that category. So yeah, Paul Clist still currently second in the rookie category. But yeah, Steve Pearce up into 9th place, ahead of Simeon Maldclef and Sander Island and David Gill having their own little fight. But here comes Matt Loveridge, who's going to win the opening race, or should we say the reverse grid race here at Donington Park, and will be looking to try and take advantage of his 8th on the grid in the second race. But it's Loveridge who takes advantage of this race, gets out into the lead and wins from Matty Chambers, who comes home in second. Next up will be Patrick Thompson coming home for the Pro-Am lead and overall podium in third. Borkland 4th, Frame 5th. Mokes will come home in 6th, and Steve Pearce is coming round for 9th overall and a amateur win to top off. I think it was an amateur win last time out for Steve Pearce as well. So, and here is Lewis McClenvey, 20th overall. The rookie sensation has come into this series and hit the ground running straight away, and will claim victory in the rookie class here in the reverse grid race of Donington Park.
Yeah, definitely will be some great racing there, and Porsche really taking the honours here today. Certainly the car to be in around this track. You would expect that because Porsche is really good on the brakes. There's not too many long straights that the Mercedes and the BMWs can really stretch their legs out on, and the Porsche is very good on the brakes. It's very good on the exit of corners, you know, so we would expect the Porsches to do well, and they have managed to get the top 3 in each one of the classes here. The top position in each one of the classes that we have got. So a great outing for the Porsche, and a great 3rd place overall for Patrick Thompson. I think it won't be too long before he's probably moved up to the pro categories, because he very much is mixing it with the pros. But obviously we'll leave that one down to the admin. So that is the end of our first race here. I don't think we've got everybody over the line yet to bring you the results.
No, we're just waiting for a few to finish. But if you want to go and start sorting out the lobby, Andy, I can read through the results, and here they are. So this is for reverse grid race. Matt Loveridge has won the pro category from Matty Chambers. Patrick Thompson, overall podium and Pro-Am winner. Kim Andre Birkland making the pro podium ahead of the recovering Nikolai Frayne and Scott Mokes, both on recovery drives. Scott Mokes going to be on pole position for that next race, so that'll be all interesting. Casper Tunston is second in Pro-Am and 7th overall from Russ Fowler. Performance Link getting up onto the podium, because I have just noticed somebody has disappeared from there, which we will notice later on. Steve Pearce is 9th overall and top amateur driver, so great result by him for Reckless Abandon, ahead of Bob Humphrey and Argis Yarmantis. Similar Modclef, Sander Island and David Gill are all in the AM category for the top 4, with Alex Scarrett in 15th overall. Kev Copeland 16th, James Logston 17th on his recovery drive, and Joe Saul comes home in 18th for Evo SR Black. 19th is Aaron Powell, who also had to do his recovery drive ahead of the rookie winner, Lewis McCleverly. He is certainly a driver to watch out for in the future of this series. The Scotsman done really well on his rookie runs so far. 21st, Gordon Howe, Nicholas Grandstrom, Daniel Liljevic, who we saw doing a great recovery down the Craner curves, have all just finished ahead of Tom Bingham, who was one lap down. So I don't know if Tom had an incident on the final lap somewhere, but Tom falling out of the podium for the Pro-Am category. Jimmy Vart, 25th, Daniel Slater, 26th, Michael Hooper, 27th, and Dean Powell, 28th. 29th for Nigel Stock and Hendrik Howitson, 30th. Lydia Rose comes home in second in the class for the rookie category. A great podium for the Norwegian, as Icelandic. Sorry, don't want to start insulting people. 32nd, Mad Sherd. 33rd, Jakob Behrens in that Ford GT40, just ahead of his teammate Christian Otterholt. Paul Kliss takes third in the rookie category with 35th. Sam Curran, 36th. Matthew Gerard looks like he must have joined the race late on in 37th. Chris Rance, 38th. And 39th, Elliot Hellier, who we saw have that issue early on. John Tresder, 40th, and Victor Lind, 41st. Them two drivers retiring very early on in this race. So those are the results for the reverse grid race. Obviously, we had iRacing cause a few issues there. So if you just bear with me, and I'm sure Lewis has the video to run for you about Performance Link from the start of the stream, and we will get back to you as soon as you can with the grid race from qualifying, where Scott Mokes will be on pole heading into another 30-minute race. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I have just noticed, and Lewis has just said we have Matt Loveridge in the waiting room. So we'll bring Matt in. Matt, that was a commanding drive once you got the lead.
It certainly was. I wasn't actually expecting to win, if I'm honest.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, it was a bit of a shock to me and Andy, because obviously the grid sort of messed itself up very quickly and it sort of reversed the top 8. So I can't actually remember where you officially started. Did you qualify on pole for this race, or?
I think during the practice I was P1.
Yeah, it was a little bit confusing because what happened was the first race, which we're meant to run off the grid. Just to explain to everybody in chat as well, that was skipped by iRacing by accident. So we went into a warm-up, and then obviously off the grid was the top 8 reverse. So that sort of means wherever you qualified, you'll actually start the next race, because we'll set up another lobby. But yeah, a commanding drive. You got in ahead of Kim Andre Borkland and just sort of drove away and kept the gap quite consistent.
Yeah, I think Borkland did quite well until, unfortunately, what happened. I think he went too far wide around turn 7.
Yeah,
and then suddenly here comes Elliot Hellier, and then the traffic happened, and I just don't know what happened after that.
Yeah, well, to fill you in with Elliot is a car ran wide at the end of the old hairpin, and 2 other cars passed it, but then they had to check up to stop themselves going off the track, and Elliot had to try and go in between both of them, and it didn't quite work, and he went spinning off on the way up to McLean. So a good first win for you this season, I believe, off the top of my head. Do you think you can repeat it in race 2, or do you think people like maybe Scott Mokes has just got that little bit too much pace today?
We'll have to see what happens. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I think we could agree with that after that opening race. And what we'll do now is let you get on and join the second lobby once Andy's got it set up, and you'll be able to take part in the second 30-minute race. But well done on your victory here in the first race.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so that was a interview with Matt Loveridge, the winner of your opening race, and we're going to just run a little bit of a VT for you now, and we'll be back to you as soon as we got the second lobby loaded up. And fingers crossed, iRacing doesn't throw a hissy fit on us. So we'll see you in a few minutes.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to that. I can only but apologise for the technical difficulties we'll put it down to there. But we do have the session up and running again. The drivers are getting back in the hot seats. They have 20 minutes practice, and then they are going for what it should have been for the first race that iRacing so kindly skipped for me. So Dave, welcome back, mate. And but we can obviously spend a little bit of time now talking about that first race. Now, the pros. Let's have a look at that. We saw the start of that race, Dave, and yeah, that first corner was carnage. It did look like you had Jacob Behrens trying to get down the inside of it. It was nearly 4 wide going into that first corner, and it was just like a domino effect. Jacob hit into the car next to him, pushed all the pros out. Literally, all the pros were like spread. It was like Moses spreading the water there, but unfortunately, the water just absolutely just went everywhere.
Yeah, it wasn't the best of starts from the pros, and I don't know if it was kind of a little bit of the iRacing sort of cars sticking together in terms of spinning people out. We'll be nice about it until we actually watch it. Probably watch it back at the on the podcast. But yeah, apologies to everybody in terms of the issues we've had. It was iRacing throwing a few unexpected bugs at us that we didn't know about, but we now do, and we're on top of them, and just had to clear up with the drivers what was actually happening. So they all enjoyed the opening race, and we'll be looking forward to this second one where we have Scott Mokes on the pole position he was expecting to be on.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but looking at the Pro-Am field at the moment, Patrick Thompson just seems to be almost like running away with it. There was obviously a lot of chat in the drivers' chat about maybe he does need to move up to Pro, but you know, people have good tracks, and the other side of it is you know, you can be a Pro-Am and you can put in a hell of a lot of practice to get yourself better. And you know, should people really be penalised if they're putting in a lot of practice to be at the front of the field? He is very fast, and as obviously we saw out in Silverstone, he got 4th overall. The first race we watched here tonight, he basically came 3rd overall and top in his class. But if he carries on the form that he's currently being, he's certainly looking at probably moving up a class.
Yeah, very much so in terms of form he's been on, but it doesn't mean that, like you say, every time somebody's quick that you need to swap them around. I mean, if we take into account that the first corner didn't happen for the pros, would Patrick have been involved in that fight for the podium? Possibly not, because Scott Mokes would have been there, Nikolai Frame would have been there a lot quicker, and people like that. So it's yes, I can understand where the grievance comes in, where people go, hang on, he's going to be quick, but they're always going to get better. Just to, you know, give a perfect example of karting series I do, we have rookies, a third class. So we have class 1, class 2, class 3. Class 3s all start from the back of a grid because they're rookie drivers, and they have to learn their racing skills. And some of them fly through the field because they didn't realise that they're any good at karting, and then all of a sudden, like halfway through the season, they'll move up because actually they've learnt their stripes. So it's something where it happens in all forms of motorsport, except for these guys. We don't stick a massive R on the back of a car and say you're a rookie like you do on or a massive rookie stripe, shall we say, like they do in real racing, where well, we got something, but
we got a little subtle thing on the back of the car. Well, let me see if the viewers can actually see what it is, and obviously mention it in the chat.
It's not a picture of Andy. Let's put it that way.
That'd be on the pros, mate.
Maybe we should do that next year. Like whatever class Tom's in has Tom on the back and people like that. But yeah, I mean, you know, if anybody's seen this pad next to me saying how is it so difficult to do simple things correctly, iRacing, take note. We'll just put you that way at the moment, but yeah, at least we're here, we're ready for race 1, the qualifying race, or should we say qualifying grid race that you would have seen as race 1. We'll call it race 2 just to make it easier for ourselves throughout the race, but the drivers will get this little bit of extra practice, and the normal nights are not normally this long in terms of us working hard and having to to slightly gap fill. We've got no birds on here to go bird watching or anything. I mean, you watch a real Grand Prix, then animal watching all the way along and having birds flying down from the to the puddles. But yeah, we need some rain eye racing so we can do boat racing while we're racing.
Yeah, but what it does do, it gives me an opportunity to thank our sponsors for this series. So the title sponsor, Performance Link, are suppliers of hundreds of different automotive tuning brands focusing predominantly on the Japanese market. They offer a wide range of upgrades such as suspension, engine components, braking, and much more. They are proud sponsors of multiple MX-5 racing cars and specialise in the MX-5 Mark III for both fast and road use. Contact them at sales@Performance Link Direct for more information. And a big thank to one that normally probably wouldn't look at sponsoring a league, but I think it is very apt in this day and age, is Green Future Technology Consultant Specialist. And they specialise in IT sustainability and helping businesses transform the way they procure, operate and consult IT services. So whether you're an IT professional involved in IT procurement, work in sustainability, or just interested in what actions you can take to be more sustainable, they're there to help. See them on their website at www.greenfuturetechs.com. And last but not least is our Olympus Sport, Thomas Cope here, who does 4K and Ultra HD imaging delivering to your Dropbox to create the scenes as well as getting snaps. Tell your story through high quality photography. Places to find Thomas is olympussports.com or Discord Thomas Cope #4241 or his Instagram at TCSimography. So a big thanks to our sponsors there, as well as STK Gaming for letting us use their overlay, and also a big shout out to Extreme Scoring, which makes it very easy to run a league. So head over to them for more information on what they can offer you. But race 2.1, I'll call it. The drivers have probably profited a little bit from this, because what would normally happen is they would have the first race and then the second race would be a top 8 inverted with their finishing positions. And I think the pros are probably counting their lucky stars, Dave, that we've managed to give them the qualifying grid again, to give them at the front to try and make up amends for what happened in race number 1.
Yeah, I mean, it's not been the perfect situation in terms of having whoever finishes 8th in this race might feel a bit aggrieved that they could have got a pole position, but then we'll be looking at the other races and deciding which way is best to do it in terms of other races in this format. But we, like you've said before, we haven't got that many of them left, so it'll be interesting to see how we get on. But there is our leader from the opening race, Matt Loveridge, and he had a brilliant drive control in the pack, as we heard from him just before the break. And did I notice Thomas Cope popping up in this lobby? Obviously missed the first race. We did say Matt Gerard was going to miss the first race. He ended up popping in halfway through the race, so he managed to overtake a couple of people, which could be all crucial in terms of the points, especially if it affected his class. But yeah, I'm sure I saw a Monsieur Cope in the lobby.
You did indeed. Luckily, you've been able to make the second race. I still don't think this is probably going to be one of his drop rounds, bearing in mind that he's already lost the points from the first race. So the points are round about, I think it's 15 for the win, then it goes to 13. So there's only 2 points difference between the first and the second, and then it's only 1 point for every position after that. And the reason why we've done that is to make it ultra close. You saw the points at the start of the stream. You know, what we want to try to do is promote really good racing throughout the series, and nobody can run away. So if we do have somebody that's massively better than the rest of the field, they're not going to streak away with the points like some other leagues. So it's going to be interesting. And yeah, so Thomas Cope is going to be an interesting addition to this second race. We saw his teammate get the upper hand on that first race, Dave, and Elliott was really tracking him down, but unfortunately we saw that incident coming out of the old hairpin where he was caught up that put pay to that. So I wonder if Matt will be able to make it 2 in a row, or if Thomas can come through and see a carbon copy with Thomas at the front and Elliott trying to chase him down.
Yeah, well, looking at some driving like that, it's lucky we have knocked down the pub at turn 1 at Redgate. Or a few drivers have looked like they've been in the pub with rally crossing like that. But yeah, that's the one thing we do miss at Donington, the pub at turn 1. But yeah, it'd be really interesting to see what somebody like Thomas can do coming through from the back of the pro grid. And we are watching Sander Ireland, who had a good race in the AM category. I think he made the podium as well, or at least the top 4. So good drive by Sander in the opening reverse grid race, just to confuse ourselves. And you know, me and Andy will admit it as well. We were confused as hell as well by the iRacing bugs. So we're trying to get to grasp with the race situation as it is. As Matthew Gerard here out practicing, he missed part of the first race. There's Victor Lind, who's heading down to the old hairpin in the Lamborghini. We haven't seen much for Lamborghini this year, but it does look splendid in the gold and black paint there as he decides now to jump to a pit, so we can't see it.
Yeah, so what I'd like to obviously talk about is our one and only female racer, Lydia Rossa, who is currently 3rd overall in the championship. And it's almost like the tortoise and the hare with Lydia, and I'm pretty sure she won't mind me saying that. She very much tries to keep it nice and clean, and like I was saying during that first race, is consistency is the key in the lower classes, because if you can just keep churning out them points, and as she says, the male testosterone really kicks in, and you know, the guys in front are coming off left, right, and centre. So she's able to make up very valuable points, and you know, being down in the rookie class that Lydia is that she's picking up valuable points. She's 3rd overall in the championship, and she's being consistent, which is, I think, one of the big things, and one of the big things that can make you win that rookie championship.
Yeah, exactly. And she's just come home in as Simeon's. Yeah, that's not ended well. For Lydia, coming home 2nd last time out, took advantage of Paul Clist having that issue near the end of the race, and yeah, certainly a good result for Lydia, and she'll be there or thereabouts in that rookie championship with the consistency she's showing, as we now see Simeon trying to clean his tyres and then deciding just to go straight on and take off, as we can say here, from East Midlands Airport, which is just to the left of that wall. We've always said that corner is a little slippery due to the fuel. I think the drivers have come up with a brand new excuse there, because yeah, it's not that slippy, it's just called Donington Park. It's like an ice rink at times anyway. So and here's a driver in that rookie class that she's trying to beat, Lewis, absolutely flown on his opening 2 races.
Yeah, he certainly has, and he didn't actually win. So did he have an issue? No, he actually did win that first race.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, I mean, he's come in the championship. He's probably borderline amateur driver coming into rookie, very much new, and he was on the podcast last week where we had a little bit of a chat to him. So not one to find in a dark alley at night, being I think Scottish karate champion. So
I was wondering where you're going with that,
Mr. Hacky. You know, so it's good, and unfortunately he was gonna fight in the European Championships this time round, but I think he said he hurt his hand. But so his loss is our gain, because he's decided to come and join this league. But gaining valuable experience out there, done a couple of endurance races, and that's what it's all about for these lower drivers. And I'd say to anybody out there who's looking at it, try and get into a league. Don't feel daunted about the fact that there's a league. You've got super fast drivers, because you know, normally there's a lot of respect that goes between the faster drivers and the slower drivers on there, and this is really the way that you can learn your craft, because I think what we call the carnage of the official series are you might as well put a big bumper around the car and play bumper cars around there, but the league racing is a lot different, and that's how people can hone their skills, isn't it, Dave?
Yeah, you're exactly right. League races, you get to know who you're racing week in, week out. And I know drivers who go off and do the officials in F4, but they literally do every single race, and they get to know people week in, week out, knowing how they race and stuff. And the league races does it perfectly, as we now bring up the grid from the qualifying times. So this will be the grid for this race, with Scott Mokes on that pole position. He's been sitting there for about an hour hoping to take this pole position, and there he is with Elliot Hellier alongside him. Aaron Powell, the American, third, with Jacob Behrens in fourth. Nikolai Freyne in fifth, looking to repeat his drive from race 1 and probably not having to do it from the back, with Jan Mantis in sixth. Andre Borkland, confident in that first race, really pushed on hard, starting from 7th, and Dean Powell in 8th. Matty Chambers came through and finished on the podium in 2nd place after Elliot Hellier made a mistake and starts 9th, and Thomas Cope in 10th with Matt Lutteridge 11th. Top of the Pro-Ams is Michael Hooper in 12th.
In 13th, we've got James Logdon, followed by Christian Otterholt, Ross Fowler, Casper Tungsten, Alexander Square, Patrick Thompson, Tom Bingham, and Bob Humphreys in 20th. 21st position, Kevin Copeland. At the top of the AMS is Simeon Mildeclerc with Steve Pearce and David Gill, and at your top 24.
Yeah, Sander Ireland in 25th, Jordan Haug 26th, Jimmy Vark and Joe Saul 27th, 28th, Daniel Slater, Daniel Lillivit, Mad Schurz, Hendrik Howardson, Nicholas Gronstrom, Chris Rance, John Tresidder and Nigel Stock rounding out for the top 36.
Then we have the last end of the green is Lewis McKevey, Linda Rosser, Paul Joseph Kliss, and Matthew Gerard rounding out your field of 41 here today for this second race here. So you see a little bit of a gap, 5-second gap between the start of the pros, the AMs, and each of the other classes, as you can see there, and they will all go onto the green of the flag. So as soon as the green flag drops, they will all start racing. But we're looking at the front of the field. Scott Mokes managing to get his pole position finally, and he is away. He gets a great run there over Elliot Hellier. Aaron Powell managing to make the move. Elliot was a little bit sleeping there, coming down into the first corner. Are they all going to make it through this time? Looking free wide at the back. Scott Mokes manages to get away really nicely. Elliot manages somehow to get that. Oh, as I say that, we have a couple of spinners at the back of the field. Dean Powell and Borkland there getting down. So the couple of casualties there in this start of the race again. Maybe not the mass ones that were there. Looking back at the Pro-Am field, you got Hoopla in 9th, managing to keep that pole position. James Logdon in 2nd, Otter Holt in 3rd, Ross Fowler in 4th, Scarrett in 5th, Thompson obviously coming 3rd overall in that first race in P15th. Looking further back the field in the AMS, we got Pearce rounding out the field, Mordecai in 2nd place, David Gill in 3rd, and then we got Borkland there, the pro driver after that incident in the first corner, back in 23rd position. Looking further back in the AMS, we got Lewis McKevey is heading out the field there, looking for a double race win here today, and has managed to pull out already a 1.3 second gap over Lind behind him. We got Lind in 2nd base, Paul Joseph Cliff hot on his heel, Lydia Rosser, Matthew Gerard there in 36, and then at the back of the field we have the incident causes or outcomes of that we can see there at the back of the field. But looking back at the front, Scott Mokes has managed to make a clean start. Elliot looked a little bit wide there coming down through the Craner curves, coming down into the old hairpin. So Scott Mokes doing an excellent job to try and keep that out. He really does need to try and scamper away, because we just know how quick Elliot is able to just push on. But the good or the bad thing, I suppose, for Scott Mokes is that the person behind Elliot is one of his teammates, so he won't be pressurising him too much.
Yeah, it's a great start for the team there as we now look at replay of the start, and this was a pros good start all round. The two Olympus Esports cars at the back. Thomas Cope actually got involved in this and ended up falling behind the Pro-Ams, but he's now fighting his way through. But it was just 3 into 1 won't go, and it was Cope, Borkland and the other driver there, I'm not sure who that is, rejoining alongside. Oh, and not rejoining alongside and pulling off to the side of the track. But here comes the Pro-Ams, and that's why we have that little bit of a gap, just in case something happens like that. But as you say, Scott Mokes leading the way from Elliot Hellier, looking quite confident there with Aaron Powell just behind. And actually the pros have all closed back up, because there was a bit of a gap between Nikolai Freyne and Aaron Powell, but that gap is coming back down. Thomas Cope has just passed Hooper for 9th overall, but Hooper had closed the gap to the pros himself. So Hooper with a bit of pace with James Logston, his teammate, right behind him. So those two will try and work together to pull away from Russ Fowler. Alex Scarrett and Christian Ochterholt round out the top 14. We're not quite seeing the charge from Tom Bingham, which I do apologise. Nothing happened to him on the final lap, apart from his computer decided to die. So that's why he disappeared from his Pro-Am position, as Nikolai Frane sets the fastest lap of the race with a 1:02.853. But yeah, that's why Tom Bingham disappeared from his what would have been possibly his first podium of the season. Steve Pearce now got the charging Kim Andre Borkland just behind him, as there's loads of swaps in the Pro-Ams, but we are looking at Jakob Behrens in 5th place, just ahead of Johan Mantis and Matty Chambers trying to come through the field. So these other drivers who were near the front of the last race, Chambers and Loveridge, not being able to get through the pack as quickly as they would like, and there's a bit of a mistake from both of them on the exit of McLean's.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, it just shows you the power of that Ford. It is actually quite a good car overall. I mean, it's still managing to hold its own against Mantis, Chambers and Loveridge in the Mercedes, the Porsche cars. So it's got a bit of a speed. I just don't think it likes the bumps very much. And unfortunately, Jacob's been involved in a few of the incidents, which has really put pay to him. But driving that Ford really well at the moment. And it's great to see the Ford, as we look here, Matt Loveridge, our race 1 winner, just trying to make a move there possibly on Matt Chambers for that 7th place. But Matt, as we saw in that first race, come in 2nd overall, is no slouch around this track. So these two are going to be having quite a few battles, I'd imagine, in this second phase. As both of them are going extremely wide, managed to save it. I mean, I think that's the difference probably between a pro and a rookie, is that both of them managed to keep the position out on track. But what that has done is Thomas Cope has now managed to close down that gap. Thomas is massively on a charge here. Just a pity he missed that first race. Already bridged the gap that was, but what he has done has let Hooper and Logston just get onto his coattails, and those Pro-Am drivers at the moment are slightly pulling away from Russ Fowler in 3rd place overall in the Pro-Ams, in 12th overall on field, of 2.5 seconds. So that really helped them two Pro-Am drivers just latching onto the back of Thomas Cope.
Yeah, and we can see further back in 14th, 15th, as we flip back there, Patrick Thompson and Casper Tunstead. Patrick, we obviously know, hit the podium overall last time in race 1, starting from the same position he started this race from. And Casper Tunstead, I spoke to him in the break, he managed to make his way all the way through to 8th, so he had a brilliant drive as well. But both of them just struggling to make any progress in the early stages of this race. That really doesn't mean that if they can get past Bob Humphries, they will not, you know, they could close down on Russ Fowler and be looking for another podium in their class.
Definitely is, but unfortunately they won't be gaining as many positions as they did in the first lap, with all the pros having all that issue on that first corner. Relatively tame there by the pros, only losing 3 of the field, not pretty much 80% of them. So as we can see, the top 9 is still covered by pro drivers. Scott Mokes is still managing to keep that lead. You can just see the times there, so close to Elliott in 2nd place, only 0.2 of a second behind Scott Mokes, so really putting a lot of pressure. But those two are now starting to pull away from Aaron Powell in 3rd place, who has Nikolai Thrane behind him for a little bit of entertainment. Then a little bit of a gap again back to Jakob Behrens, who's having a little bit of a fight with Arias Mantis in 6th place. So we've got 3 little pods in the top 6 of cars fighting out, and then obviously we've got the cars further back with Matty Chambers and Thomas Cope having a little bit of a battle as well. But this is a battle at the front. We can look at Elliott as just, I think he might be just biding his time, for unfortunately for Scott. He's in the prime seat, as you would say, in that 2nd place overall at the moment. But these two sort of, Aaron Powell is sort of closing up a little bit on the gap, so Scotty might be going a little bit defensive, which is giving the opportunity for Aaron Powell to close that gap.
Yeah, Scott just going a little bit defensive, but nothing too much, just half a car, just to make sure that he stops Elliott taking a last-minute dive. But Elliott's being clever here. He knows championship rival Thomas Cope bit further back. He's got his teammate only a second back defending from him as we now look at Steve Pearce, 19th overall leader of the AM category, ahead of David Gill, who's got through from about 4th in that class, so a good start by him. He is ahead of Sander Island, Gordon Haug and Simeon Mudcliffe, with Joe Soul doing a good job there in 24th altogether in this battle. Actually, Mudcliffe has dropped off the back with Soul a little bit by about 2 seconds, so the battle for the AM category, and this is why the drivers wanted it. They wanted to be able to fight straight away with the drivers that they are battling in the points as such. And further back, Lewis McClenny is still leading the rookie category, well clear of, well, 2 positions clear of Victor Lind and Matthew Gerard, who's come through from the back of that group to run 32nd currently, and just tagging on to the back of Hendrik Harrison and Danny Levick in the AM category.
Yeah, definitely is, but he's not as far as, as you see a little bit of a punt there by Victor Lind coming in to the S's, and unfortunately that has pushed Lewis out. So I think
no, that's Howardson.
Haroldson. Oh no, I mean, just got on the brakes a little bit too late there, did Victor. Went straight into the back. I mean, it's probably the lucky bit of that wedge formation on the front of that Lamborghini. It's probably just to push that Porsche up to make sure he didn't spin off the road. But yeah, that might be another one we're looking at. But we're looking back at the front here. Scotty Moakes under a lot of pressure by Elliot Hellier. Just having a look there, coming into the S's to try and make his move. Is he going to make a move here, coming down into the first corner at Redgrave? Is he going to dive on the inside, or is he going to just bide his time at the moment? I think he's just trying to put Scott under a lot of pressure, but Scott being a pro himself, and obviously chatting to us last week, you know, he thrives on this sort of racing, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be loving it in that car, seeing that Elliot is so close to him. And having someone to battle here. It's still early days in this race, only 10 minutes gone, another 20 minutes to go. Can Scott Moakes defend from Elliot Hellier for 20 minutes?
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Moakes. We know how Hellier gets on in the second half of races, but he's doing really well at the moment. He's defending that. He's had the pace, obviously, because he managed to put it on pole, and he's driving the Performance Link Porsche really, really well. Obviously, these drivers, the Porsche has been sort of a car to be in if you're in certain official iRacing races over this season. But what we've got to remember is at the end of this current iRacing season, which will go into the second half of this season of the Performance Link Championship, there could be things like BOP that come into it. So these drivers need to take advantage of the position they're in at times, because you just never know whether something just might change for a car that's not to your liking, and you've got to get the points where you've got the pace. And Scott Moakes, Elliot Hellier and Aaron Powell certainly doing that. Then we've got Nikolai Frayne in the Mercedes, really pushing on in that car, holding on to Aaron Powell actually really well. So Frayne with some pace here tonight, because he was the one coming back through the field with Scott Moakes in race 1.
Yeah, definitely does have the pace here. It is Nikolai Frayne in 4th place, just trying to chase down Aaron Powell, managing to get on his coattails, just about in that slipstream effect at the moment, as you can see there. A little bit of to and fro in between. So lap 5 to 10, the gap is literally the same as it was. I think they're both playing a little bit of sparring competition here. One gets a quicker lap, one gets a slower lap, but the gap is pretty much the same as it was. So Nikolai just trying to close that gap up, coming down to 0.5 a second, coming through Redgrave here in turn 1, coming around Hollywood, going down into the kind of grave. And the big one that you can gain the time here, Dave, is through that old hairpin. You know, if you're brave and you really want to risk a lot, is taking it to the track limits, as we saw Scott there taking it to the absolute limit going around that corner.
Yeah, it's one of the most difficult corners I find in any racing game, because it's so easy to run wide on, and these drivers have to be really careful not to do that, as we've now got Behrens and Jan Mantis falling down the timing tower. And Scott Moakes has spun at McLean's. He's lost the back end, and Elliot Hellier manages to miss him, but Scott Moakes falls down to 4th place overall and maybe loses out to Thomas Cope as well. Yes, he does on the run down to final, and Loveridge goes through as well. So Scott Moakes, that pressure just told for Hellier, and I'm sure we'll be able to get a replay of that. But in the middle of McLean's, as we go, here we go. So Scott Moakes coming down into McLean's here and heads up to Coppice corner. He just gets on the brow, and this is so easy to do at Donington. You just get on the power a little bit too early. Back end's already gone, and it's so hard to hold it. He holds the brakes. Everybody misses him, gets the car out the way, which is brilliant by Scott. Rejoins as safely as he can, make sure he's out the way of any cars coming round, and there goes the two Olympus esports cars of Cope and Loveridge.
Yeah, definitely is. That was so unfortunate, and unfortunately, it looks like we might have an incident from Jacob Barrett's off-board driver here, coming down through the crane of curves, coming up into the old hairpin. So does he get this slightly wrong? Let's watch here. Oh,
yes,
no,
it's just off the apex.
Out, doesn't it?
Yeah, just off the apex, and once you've hit that grass, that is it. But I'm sure we saw, yes, Arias falling down the timing sheet as well. So I'm not actually quite sure how he's ended up. I mean, that's a very good rejoin, obviously popping it into reverse, but how he ended up, because he didn't look like he got touched by
I think you
Jacob.
You get fixated, don't you? You get fixated on the car in front, and as you can see, Jacob, when he comes down into here, doesn't quite get the corner right. He's lost the car already, and then it's almost like an avoiding action there that Arias Yamantas did there. So great avoiding action on Jacob Behrens, but unfortunately lost control of his car there on the exit. But so easy to do. That's probably one of the biggest downfalls of that Ford, is just the loss of grip that can kick away from you. A very quick car in a straight line, but certainly doesn't like corners. But one car that does like corners is this Porsche. I was expecting it, Dave, to do well at this track, because, you know, the Porsche is renowned for late braking, really good exit speed from corners, whereas we look at, say, the Mercedes, you know, the big grunt of that V8 going on in a straight line speed, and we've seen on the earlier rounds the power of them cars over the Porsche when it gets onto a bit of a straight. So being such a small track, I would expect the Porsche to do really well around this track in particular. May struggle a little bit on some of the other ones like Daytona with that outer loop. The Nords, I think it'll do quite well around the Nords as well, the Porsche, but certainly around maybe the other track, Le Mans, it might struggle a bit on the straight line speed, and that's where maybe the Mercedes will take over, or the BMW. Interlagos, it'll be good on that infield section, but then as soon as it gets onto the back straight, it may struggle a bit. So this is the prime opportunity. We saw that in race number 1, as all four classes basically had a Porsche at the front head of it, and it looks like we've pretty much got the same again here in race number 2.
Yeah, we've currently got the battle for third in Pro-Am on the screen. It's Russ Fowler for Performance Esports. Performance Link Esports ahead of Patrick Thompson, the championship leader for Nordic Racing. Now, Patrick obviously did that great drive last time out, in last race here at Donington, but struggling to just get past Russ Fowler here. Got Alex Skrett not far behind, and but Patrick doesn't need to go on and win races all the time now. It's about accumulating them points for the championship. So that is the other Ford GT of just trying to think who that Nigel Stock, isn't it? Getting out of the way. So he's doing a great job of getting out of the way of the cars coming through to lap. But yeah, really close battle here. But he's wasn't far off the battle between Scott Mokes and Matty Chambers a minute ago. So Mokes has managed to get past, got passed by Hooper and Logston, but is now struggling to hold off the attention to Matty Chambers, as we now see through Hollywood Lewis McClellan, who is leading the rookie category, 11 seconds clear of the points leader Matthew Gerard. Now, we know Lewis has joined the championship late, but this is going to be a titanic scrap between the Scotsman and the New Zealander for this championship, not forgetting people like Paul Cliss, who are still in there as well.
Yeah, definitely. We can't obviously count out the guys that have moved down. We've got Victor Lind. Obviously, we saw him get in second place overall in that rookie field, but unfortunately has come across a few issues at the moment, currently languishing down in 36th, 5th in class overall, but certainly showing his speed out on there. But Patrick Thompson at the moment is the one to beat. But looking at, I'm just looking at the grid. I think Michael Hooper came second, if I'm not mistaken, in the first race. If he wins this one, he will close the gap to Patrick at the top of that championship overall. And he was only, I think it was 4 or 5 points behind him. So that may close up the gap at the top of that Pro-Am division. Those two guys, Michael Hooper and Patrick Thompson, are sort of breaking away from the rest of the Pro-Am field. So those two are certainly the ones to watch in that field. But we're looking at David Gill at the moment in 5th place overall in class, getting closely followed by Chris Rance there. He's having a great second race, up 10 places from where he started this second race here. So on a bit of a charge, so it'll be interesting to see the difference between the Ferrari and the Porsche around this track, but he's certainly putting them under a lot of pressure, is Chris, as we watch him come down the start finish line. Always, we've got a spinner in the background there. Who was that?
Was Lucas McClevany. I think that was Lewis, I think, sorry, not Lucas. Lewis McClevany spinning, going for a move on Grönstrom down into the chicane and actually letting it go, but then there's a mistake by Grönstrom and just nowhere to really go for Grönstrom, and it just spins Lewis round. But Lewis has an 11-second lead, so if he gets it back going again, he will be fine in the rookie category. Is that the next car coming round?
Yes, it is.
That is a Mercedes.
Yeah, he's lost that first place. He's currently in second place. Matthew has managed to leapfrog him. You can see the battle here. This will be another great battle to watch between Matthew Gerard and Lewis McCain. Obviously, Matthew is leading out the rookie class at the moment. Lewis missed the first 2 rounds, so when the drop rounds do come into effect, will certainly be coming into play. So this is a very interesting battle for that rookie class overall when these drop rounds do come in. And Lewis is being very racy on there as we watch that Mercedes clatter into that sausage curb.
Yeah, I think Matthew Gerard might want to get one over here on Lewis just to stop the rot a little bit. I mean, Matthew's obviously been very quick anyway, but just to stop that pace of Lewis and get one over on him in terms of a race result. As we can also see on the timing tower, Thomas Cope is up into 3rd overall now, just got past Nikolai Frayne in that Mercedes, so it is now a Porsche 123 in the pro category, but Nikolai Frayne will not be giving that up because he hasn't got the attention of Matt Loveridge, who is behind him. Matt has got the pace but just can't seem to close the gap quick enough at the moment, as both cars will try and pass what looks like Lydia Rosa is the next target in terms of lapping in the field. And this is the thing with Donington, it is just constant. Once you catch it, there's a car off there.
Evil car.
I don't think it is somebody too far up, to be honest. I'm not sure if we can go back. It's not Elliot Elliott, and nobody has fallen straight down the order in terms of the timing screen. So we'll find out who that is in due course.
Is it John Tressida?
Yeah, it looks like it's John, because he's coming down the hill past Paul Clist there. And does he just lose it on his own? It probably will be on the exit. Yeah, the back end's already going, and around he goes. But John just trying to keep us on our toes, thinking the leader's spun out.
Certainly is. But Thomas Cope, I mean, wow. After his first lap incident where he got pushed right down the field, has come on a massive charge here, just getting past some of the back markers, trying to track down. He does have around about 6 seconds to make up to Aaron Power. Certainly, I don't believe he's going to collect Elliot Hellier in this race. I mean, his last lap, Elliot, was a 102.7. That was pretty much qualifying time here. So that, I think the pole was a 107.8. I mean, he's just gone quicker in a lap, 21 minutes into the race.
Well, I've just noticed Scott Moakes has got James Logsdon, who's fallen down a couple of 3 positions now. So I think James has got back going again, but no, he's still falling down the order. So it's an issue for James Logsdon from 2nd in the Pro-Am category, but also Nikolai Frayne's being passed by Michael Hooper. So Nikolai losing about 4 seconds in recent laps, also having Matt Loveridge pass him. So a few drivers in trouble here, but yeah, James Logsdon fallen down to 11th overall and 3rd in class. So I think there's been an off track there somewhere for James.
Certainly is, and you can see there Thompson's there managed to get past Russ Fowler for P9, so he is currently 2nd in that Pro-Am division. So the only points gap that Michael Hooper will get over him is 2 points if this stays the way it is. But looking further back the field, Arias Humantis in P20, heavily mixed up in this AM field at the moment, currently chasing Motorclub, who is 3rd in that AM field, just trying to make the positions up back again. And this is the problem when you have a pro driver behind you. When you're fighting the guy in front, you probably want to let him pass, but you don't want to lose too much time to the car in front, because you're actually fighting them. And at the moment, Arias is a bit far off the guy up the road from him, which is Balkland, in 15th place. Let's just have a look down the field and look at the the rookie class at the moment. So we've seen that battle ensuing between Matthew Gerard and Lewis Mercuri, as we see there. And as some of the comments in the YouTube, Alex Bingham saying, you know, some great liveries in this one. I think I absolutely love that one, that Aussie one, as you call it, Dave.
Yeah, that one who hangs upside down. No, New Zealand proudly on the side of the Mercedes, and Matthew Gerard holding off Lewis. This will be a strong thing for Matthew. He's seen there's been a mistake there with Lewis. Oh, as we say that, I thought he was doing a very exciting way to get into the pit lane, but actually a mistake from Matthew Gerard has allowed Lewis McCleverly through. And this is going to be a titanic battle for the last 6 minutes of this race. And I think Matthew may have cooked his rear tyres here. It is a thing you can do in the GTs. If you just push it too hard, the rear tyres can heat up really quickly and have a few issues. Fastest lap of the race in the class goes to Michael Hooper, so he extends his lead in the Pro-Am category currently. But yeah, Matthew very slip-slidey now, and looking like he's more on the rally New Zealand than driving around Donington Park.
He certainly does, and probably be kicking himself from a slight mistake there that's just let Lewis get away. But as we've already seen, that Lewis can be prone to a few mistakes himself, so this race is not over. He just needs to keep that pressure on Lewis in front of him to see if the Scotsman will make a little bit of a mistake. Also, we saw there, David, we just saw a Ford spinning around, and I think that was Nigel Stock coming out of the chicane there. So I wonder if that goes. So as we have a look here on board, Nigel Stock coming down to the S's, does have a Evo SR in front of him. What happens here? Does he clatter that sausage curb? Yes, he does. Fords do not like that. Literally clattered that last curb, you know, pushed him out on to the kitty on the outside, and unfortunately lost a little bit of grip. So that's one of the areas that certainly the Ford does lack in.
Yeah, a little bit of rear downforce disappeared, and nicely reversed out the way, Nigel there, realising he couldn't quite turn it round properly. And how far is he going to go with this?
Look at that.
Oh,
nearly a handbrake turn.
Almost, but now he's going to give it another go by the looks of it. But yeah, that is Nigel Stock possibly out of this race now. Nicely parked it the wrong way around in the pit lane, but yeah. Well done to him in terms of getting the car out of the way as quickly as he could. We're now looking at Paul Cliss. Oh, there's another car off there on the outside. There's cars off left, right and centre in the last few things. Is that James Logston, who was 4th in class for Pro-Am. So another mistake or issue there for James Logston. He's up behind Russ Fowler, that is, in the Mercedes for Performance Link. And does he try to make a move on Russ Fowler going down into the old hairpin? No, he's just late on the brakes, but the back end's already gone. We've seen this time and time again. And then James, realising he's on the racing line, reverses it up and just tries to stay out of the way. But obviously so many cars coming through, and James decides just to reverse a little bit more just to make sure he can rejoin as safely as possible. And that was well done by the 142 Porsche in terms of rejoining, but not quite how you're meant to take the old hairpin.
No, definitely. I've seen probably about 3 or 4 carbon copy spins there from the front runners as well going down there. So it's a very easy place around this Donington track to get there. But we're looking on board with Elliot Hellier at the moment 9.2 seconds. As soon as this guy gets a bit of free air, his lap times just go insane. His last lap time was a 102.8. Aaron Powell behind him is sort of matching him on a 102.8 as well, and Thomas Cope with a 102.9, and then you jump into the 103s from 4th place down. So the front three at the moment absolutely on a flyer. I mean, they're just putting on a masterclass, Dave, isn't it? I mean, all this is that Thomas. Who was that at the back? Was that
That's
Thomas
Cope. That's Cope wide at the old hairpin, and hopefully he rejoins well enough. But yeah, just ran deep into the old hairpin. So easy to do, and it's so hard to rejoin because you want to get on the track as quickly as you can. But obviously you don't want to start hampering other people or even spinning it out. Yeah, just lost it on entry, and he's managed to hold it really well. Colin McRae-esque through the grass, rejoins as safely as he can. But that has that let Matty Chambers through into 3rd place, or was that the AM category car? No. Cope still holds on to 3rd. Chambers a lot further back, but that is Cope coming into the pits now. With only a minute to go. Has he picked up a drive-through penalty for too many X's there? Thomas Cope coming straight through the pits. So that allows Matt Loveridge up into 3rd place. Hooper up into 4th overall, 1st in Pro-Am. And Cope falls down to 6th. But obviously, like we said, Thomas missed the first race. So if he's going to get the penalty, this is a race to do it, because actually he's probably going to drop this event anyway.
He probably is, but that's a bit unfortunate there. Obviously, they do have a 15x before they do go through the drive-through penalty there, and 8 incidents after that they would have a new drive-through to them. So unfortunately, he did hit that 15 incident point limit. Probably quite easy to do around this track with them pesky little off tracks, just picking them up here and there, and then basically just hitting that 15 marker point. But yeah, it's a bit unfortunate, but Michael Hooper has sort of taken the reins of Patrick Thompson and is currently 4th in class and right on the back. No, that is it is Matt Loveridge, isn't it? So he is looking for that 3rd place overall. Timing tower just doesn't look like that.
Yeah, the timing tower is there in terms of the position per class at the moment, so but you can see, but it is a bit frozen, so Lewis is just doing his best out there, but we do have Michael Hooper coming round the top of the corner, top of the circuit heading down, but we should be near the end of this race if that is correct, and it would be Elliot Hellier who is going to come home, take a victory in this race. A great drive by him, 10 seconds clear of teammate Aaron Powell, who's going to take a podium. The American doing a great job here in terms of a team effort, and 3rd will come Matt Loveridge, who comes home to take a 2nd podium after his winning race 1. So a great round for Matt Loveridge, as Michael Hooper comes home to take the Pro-Am win just behind Loveridge. So great job by him. Ahead of Nikolai Frayne, who I think's done a great job in that Mercedes here today. Ahead of Matty Chambers and Scott Mokes, who will be just a bit gutted after that mistake meant that he didn't hold on to the race victory. Steve Pearce comes home to win the AM category for the 2nd race in succession, ahead of Gordon Haug and Simeon Modclef. And further back is Lucas McGlenny, who takes the win from Matthew Gerard and Paul Clist in the rookie category.
Yeah, double race win there for Lewis in that rookie. Had a little bit of a battle with Matthew Gerard, but unfortunately Matthew had a little bit of incident coming out of the last chicane that really put pay to what could have been a grandstand finish in that rookie class. So a great day's outing for Lewis to get that double race win. And Elliot, obviously that first race, a little bit disappointing. Obviously we saw that incident, was on a charge to try and get 1st place, but unfortunately got caught up in that, but really showed his class in this 2nd race. Ran away with a field, 10.2 seconds on a half-an-hour race over his teammate Aaron Powell in 2nd place. So like you said, some really good points there for the Evo SR team. Obviously they don't have drop rounds for the team championship, so really need to push on and get there. But great thing.
Oh, this is a bit fancy, boys.
Sim Racing Norway doing a bit of.
They're definitely speaking to Thomas Cope for a picture afterwards.
They are, aren't they?
As you can see, 3 AM drivers and the Pro-Am just pro driver just driving around in formation. Very nicely done. Maybe other teams need to start taking a leaf out of these guys' books, and but whatever you do, don't crash at the end of this, because we have got you on tape, and we that would be a little bit embarrassing. But yeah, we're just waiting for all the drivers to come across the line, and we'll be able to very quickly run you through the results of this second race here at Donington Park with the full grid order. So it was Elliot Hellier who took the win from 10.2 seconds from his teammate at Evo SR, Aaron Powell. Matt Loveridge in third, Michael Hooper a brilliant fourth with a Pro-Am victory, Nikolai Frey in fifth, Matty Chambers sixth, Scott Mokes seventh, disappointed after that pole position, and Thomas Cope after his mistake down in eighth. Patrick Thompson takes second in Pro-Am from Russ Fowler, who rounds out the top 10 and third in class, and Casper Tunstad, I mentioned it earlier in the race, doing a great job to get through to fourth in class, and he adds that to his 8th overall last in the first race. A great day for the driver from Denmark, with Jakob Behrens in that Ford GT in 12th. Steve Pearce takes the AM category win from Gordon Haug, who was 16th. Kev Copeland and Johan Mantis just splitting the two of them, and Simeon Moderklef getting another podium for Sim Racing Norway, and Sander Island just behind, so the three of them finishing really close together for Sim Racing Norway. A little bit further back, James Logston, who we know had an issue. Kim Andre Borkland, a great first race here tonight, but second race didn't quite go to plan. David Gill and Chris Rance having a battle late on for that 21st overall. Alex Scarrett, Nicholas Gronstrom, Tom Bingham, which rounding out the 25th place, and Lewis McCleverley and Matthew Gerard having a great battle at the end for rookie honours, with Lewis coming out on top in the battle of probably the two most impressive rookies so far this year, and Joe Soul taking 28th overall for Evo SR Black. 29th Jimmy Vark, 30th Hendrik Harrison, 31st and 3rd in rookie class Paul Kliss, John Tresidder, who we saw off earlier in the race, Lydia Rossa 4th in class, 33rd overall, and Nigel Stock, who we saw having issues with the Ford GT, having a nice reverse into a pit lane. And then earlier on, Daniel Liljevic, Daniel Slater, Matt Scherr, Victor Lind, all ending their races early. Bob Humphrey, Christian Otterholt, and Dean Powell rounding out the 41 drivers who raced here at Donington Park tonight.
I was going to help you out there, Dave, but you were doing such a cracking job, I thought I'd leave you to it. But without further ado...
One of us has to work.
Exactly, mate, exactly. I'm just sitting back and enjoying you going through the results. But let's have a couple of interviews to start off with. And let's just grab Lewis into the box. Lewis, welcome to the box. A double podium win in the rookie class. A great day at Donington Park, even with the issues that we had with the technical issues.
Sorry, what did you say that? I don't even realise I was in yet.
Oh, here we go. No, I was just basically saying congratulations on your double race win in the rookie class.
Thank you.
How's tonight, and how did you find Donington? I remember you saying last week that you particularly liked this track, and it certainly showed out there during the broadcast.
Yeah, I really do like this track. I think it suits me very well. In the first race, I felt like I had tons of pace. I think I finished 21st or 20th overall, which for being in rookies is really well. And then the second race, I didn't feel as if I had the same pace, just something felt wrong. But I still managed to get the win, so...
Yeah, we were watching a battle that was hopefully going to be ensuing between yourself and Matthew Gerard, who very much seemed to be the ones to watch out for in that rookie class. But unfortunately, a slight issue from Matthew that gave you the opportunity going through the S's with about 6 minutes left.
Yeah, I was involved in a bit of an incident. I think I take responsibility for that incident happening. I turned it too early to chicane, I spun, and then we got side by side. and then my battle with Matthew, and that was a really good battle. We were side by side for a while there, especially coming round the double right-hander. Just unfortunate he made that mistake.
Yeah, I bet you're just looking forward to when the drop scores come in, because we obviously came in missing the first 2 rounds, but you've certainly since then just come on the scene with a big bang and showing your intent to get at the front of that rookie field. I mean, next week we have got the Green Hell that is out there in Germany. I mean, how are you looking forward to that one?
I've never raced it, so I'm really looking forward to it. I feel like as long as I don't crash, I should be in a chance for the win. Because I think it's got to be a battle survival. Who doesn't crash?
It certainly is, but obviously a double race victory here tonight. So congratulations, mate. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Just the SRM boys. They were really helpful this week and preparing for the race.
Definitely. Well, Lewis, good luck in the Green Hell next week, and good luck in your challenge for that rookie title, mate.
Thank you. I'll talk to you later.
There's Lewis there, obviously our double race winner in the rookies. So, Dave, who are you wanting to speak to next?
I think as we seem to be going sort of backwards through the order, I will start with Steve Pearce, who was our double AM winner here tonight. I actually got the class right this week. Steve, yet another 2 wins for you to add to your collection.
Yeah, very pleased with that. Very pleased indeed. I had a bit of help in the quali actually from Sander, so a bit of draft from him, which got me a couple of tenths, I would have thought. So that obviously got me on second behind Simon, and then Simon was unlucky in both races. I think he got a so he spun in the first race, and I think he got a slow down. Or something happened in the second. Sorry, it's been such a blur.
Yeah.
I'm knackered.
I was going to say it's been a blur for you, but it's been a blur for us as well.
Yes.
But no, you've driven so well in the last few rounds, and we've obviously got Nordschleifer coming up next. How are you feeling about that? Because that is a track you really need to be pinpoint on for pretty much the whole race.
Yeah, so I have driven it a fair few times, but no GT3 races, would you believe? So I need to do some practice in that. I have done probably 50 laps of, no, 50, that sounds too many. Maybe 20, 25 laps of practice, but not in the last sort of couple of months. So yeah, I've got to get that in next week, in the next week. So
I mean,
it should be good.
By the sounds of it, you've done more practice than the laps you'll do in an hour, so you know you'll be okay there. But just remember, everything comes at you quicker in a GT car.
Yeah.
So now you're obviously having this vein of form. Championship aspirations for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously you want to win, don't you? That would be lovely. But yeah, I'm at the end of the day, I'm here to have fun. You know, race with like-minded guys, and that's what it has been so far, and it's been brilliant. I'm really enjoying it. So kudos to you guys for setting it up and going through some pain because it has been, hasn't it?
It was tonight, yes, but we've managed to sort the technical issues, and obviously nothing on our side we could have done about it anyway. So before we let you go and start your practice ready for next week's Green Hell, is there anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Oh, the usual guys, the reckless abandon guys. You know, they're there to help me practice, and obviously you guys for setting this up and being patient and rushing around like madmen at the last minute to sort things out. So really appreciate it.
Yeah, I would push that towards Andy and Tom rather than me, but yeah, I'll take any credit I can. But thanks for joining us, Steve, and we will see you next week for what could be the most interesting race of the season.
Will do.
So that was Steve Pearce, who won our AM category, and I'll hand you back over to Andy, who's got Michael Hooper, our Pro-Am winner.
Hi, Michael. Welcome to the box. Obviously, a very entertaining class is that Pro-Am between yourself and Patrick. I think you're sort of like trading a little bit of blows. You two at the moment are sort of running away with that Pro-Am category. How are you keeping you cool to be able to make sure that both of you can maintain the the gap amongst the rest of the field, but also give a challenge in between the two of you?
I think mostly it's the teasing between us who should be in pro and who shouldn't be, because yeah, I mean we're both pretty fast and we both have our tracks that we like more, and I'm at every track I'm trying to the best of my abilities. At some tracks I'm slower than Patrick, at some tracks I'm faster than him, so it's good fun and I really like it in this class. Yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely trading places. Obviously, this first race you were second, the second race you were first, and vice versa. Patrick was first with that first race, and you were second. So you know it's tit for tat in every single round. I mean, we got the Nordschleife next week. I mean, being your home track, are you looking forward to that one?
Absolutely. I've never driven it in a longer race in the 911, so I'm looking forward to that. All my endurance races have been either in the AMG or the BMW. So yeah, it's not really my home track, but it's a track I'm very familiar with. My local home track would probably be Hockenheim. It's nearest to me.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, looking at it, I think a lot of people are saying, they know the Nordschleife, everybody knows it, but I've not really driven it that much. So I think everyone's edging their bets for next week, because it can either go really well for a driver or be absolutely carnage, and you can just wreck yourself out, because unlike this track, there's no runoffs.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, especially with the current situation that we had in the first race today, with the mix of paces between the Pro-Ams and pros. There's going to be situations where people are faster in different classes, and it's going to be up to both parties to agree on something, because the Nordschleife does not tolerate any mistakes.
You can't be pushing your luck around that track. But Michael, I mean, it's absolutely entertaining watch you and Patrick go head to head in that class and just literally trading places. So I'm really going to be looking forward to the rest of the season. And imagine your aspiration for it is to win that Pro-Am and put one over, as you would say, Patrick.
I mean, the aim is to win. I'm not keen on putting Patrick in his place. I think he's a great racer. He has adapted to iRacing extremely well. So I'm just happy to race against him.
Yeah, I mean, it's great battling between the two of you. Before we let you go, though, Michael, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Today I would like to thank Jimmy Vark, because he is basically the mother of our company, our Team Bearpop, and he's just behind all the organization, and yeah, really thankful for him.
Well, thank you, Michael, and we look forward to seeing you next week to see what the 5th chapter between yourself and Patrick has in store. But good luck, mate, and congratulations on Race 2 win.
Thank you.
So there was Michael there, Race 2 winner, trading blows really between himself and Patrick. And I think it's only fitting that we get Patrick in, Dave, and see what he has got to say about the battle that's ensuing between himself and Michael Hoopla. So over to you, Dave.
Yeah, Patrick, thanks for joining us. Not quite able to get past Michael today, but the battle between you two is certainly pushing on throughout this season.
Yeah, Michael, I mean, started ahead of me, and I think he also had a bit of luck going his way with the pros sort of helping him get a bit further ahead, and I had a good field of pro-ams because I had a really bad qualifying, so I had to fight my way through the field before getting up towards the front. So yeah, I mean, I tried my best, and I got up there, but definitely was hoping for the win.
And we're obviously asking everybody about this, but the next race around the Green Hell, who do you think's got the better chance between you and Michael?
I honestly don't know. I mean, I love the Green Hell myself, but it's a track that punishes every single small lapse of concentration. So if you're not prepared to be concentrated the entire race, you are gonna end in the wall.
I would say, do you think we need to up the amount of fast repairs for Green Hill?
Oh yeah, give us unlimited.
Unlimited. Yeah, I think some may find out they need it, but yeah, certainly a great drive from you here tonight. And before we let you go, is there anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Well, as usual, I'd like to give a shout out to my best friend Sonny, who watches along. Having him in the back of my head makes me focus and strive to do better every single time. And also, since last time, I've gotten my girlfriend on board, so she's also watching these races now. And yeah, I just like to say thank you to the close friends and family who's watching me. It helps me push.
And thank you for providing us with some great entertainment tonight. And we'll see you next week for, as we say, the Green Hell. So that was Patrick Thompson, who's been in that Pro-Am battle. But next up, we just caught him unawares, Andy's got Elliot Hellier, our race winner.
Yeah, we definitely have. So we leave the best till last. Elliot, I mean, your pace seems to be insane, whatever track you've been on today. The first race was a bit unfortunate. We did see the incident between yourself coming out of the old pin, coming through Starkey Bridge. But that second race was pure dominance, 10 seconds ahead of your teammate, Aaron Powell. I mean, where'd you get the pace from?
It's a good question. I don't really know, to be honest. Maybe it's just I've driven the Porsche a lot. I don't know. I seem to be getting more and more comfortable in the sim at the moment. More and more comfortable in every track I go to. So yeah, just feeling comfortable, feeling confident. I guess that's the main thing, really.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that pro category is really heating up because you seem to take a week off. Then Thomas Cope seems to take a week off. And it just closes the field up quite nicely together that you're all still within an opportunity for the win. Obviously, we haven't had the drop round scores put in yet, but that's really going to be interesting when they come out. And if you could, I reckon if you could sustain coming week after week, it's certainly going to be interesting battle between yourself and probably Thomas Cope. It's looking like that maybe your main championship rival, but there's quite a few other pro drivers there just waiting in the wings that consistently getting them points. So it's a really competitive pro field.
Yeah, definitely. It's they got a lot of people in there. You think Scott's pace tonight was absolutely rapid, and it's a shame to see. He had a bit of an incident, and obviously had an unfortunate first race as well. Aaron's rapid, Matty's rapid, Thomas obviously, Arias as well. There's so many people that have got really good pace, and I think it's going to be interesting at the Nords, especially to see, because there's no doubt that the Porsche has been strong at a lot of the tracks, but it'll be interesting to see if now that the BMW and the Merc are going to come into their own, and it wouldn't surprise me if you see a lot of those guys that drive that sometimes maybe struggle or are there or thereabouts, if they really come into their own and flourish there. And maybe us guys in the Porsche struggle a little bit, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we were saying that in the broadcast that track was very much made for the Porsche. Nice tight, twisty track. Not a lot of open, big long straights for the big boys, like you were saying, the BMW and the Mercedes to gain back up on you. But obviously, like you said, we're going to the Nords. And one thing I want to get into quickly is obviously the pro category. I mean, we saw the incident into the first corner tonight at Donington, and we saw a slight incident going in there. You guys are not holding back at all, going 2 or 3 or even 4 wide into the first corner. Everybody wants that front position going into the first corner. What is it about you pro drivers that gives you that drive that you just, right, I've got to get there,
I think everyone is just super competitive. Like you don't put in the hours, and you wouldn't be in the pro class if you didn't have that sort of mentality or that sort of approach to it as well. So obviously some pro drivers are less so than others, and there is a level as well. You can be in a pro class like this, like we're in on a Sunday night, and you might be pretty competitive with a kind of wanna win mentality, and then you've got go and drive something like the esports series or something like that, and that's a whole different level. Like, yeah, it's just a desire to win, and people want people want to stamp their authority, don't they? It's not. I'm not that worried about it. I'll quite happily sit back and pick my way through. I don't need to be there at the start. But some people feel like they need to just get in there straight away, make a point, and try and defend from the front, basically. Well, offense is the best defense in their mind, I guess.
Yeah, it definitely is. It does provide entertaining because I think every single race we go into the first corner holding our breath with you pro field and thinking, are they all going to get around it? But it just makes for an entertaining first corner anyway. It's like a Russian roulette who's going to make it through. But you don't seem to need to do that because we've seen many times. If I take us back to our first round, Watkin Glen, you were like 4 seconds behind Thomas Cope. And you managed to claw it back. That first race as well, you were around about 3.8 seconds. And as soon as you get a bit of free air, you were eating in half a second into a lap into Matt Loveridge's lead. And obviously that came to an abrupt end. But you seem to thrive on the fact that, right, you're 4 seconds ahead of me. I think that's your magic number. I'm going to chase you down now. And you always seem to manage to do it. And it's absolutely amazing to watch on screen.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, it's a cat and mouse game, isn't it? You see someone just ahead of you, just in touch. They're there. You can feel them. You can see them. You see the delta coming down, and it spurs you on to go. But I definitely flourish in that kind of scenario where I'm a few seconds behind. I can see the delta. I can see I'm gaining. And just as I said at the start, feeling confident and comfortable, and it just instills that even further into you, and you get into a rhythm, and you just keep going. But as it shows in the races, I do get better as the race goes on. Like you could see at the start of this race with Scott, as soon as I get a bit of free air and the race kind of ticks down a bit, I get quicker as it goes on. So yeah, I think it's probably something to do with my driving style and the way that the way I am with the car, but definitely the cat and mouse game really does help.
Yeah, we can certainly see that. I think everybody who's in front of you by 4 seconds start playing the Jaws music when they see you're behind them because they just know that you're going to eat into that lead they got, and it's just a case, like you said, have I got enough time to get to that checkered flag before Elliot actually catches me? But thank you very much for joining us in the box. We've got Nordschleife next week. Looking forward to seeing what you guys can do around there. Certainly you pro drivers, but. Before we let you go, Elliot, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, just give a shout out to the Evo SR boys to just say thanks very much for having me in this series. Thanks very much for letting me fly the flag and just welcoming me in. Really, they're all been really nice. Yeah, just thanks for letting me in. Thanks for you guys for putting the broadcast on. Thanks for the admins. I know we had a bit of technical troubles tonight, but it is what it is. That kind of stuff happens. It's not the end of the world, really. And yeah, just thanks very much. Hopefully, I spoke to Thomas in the interview waiting room. He's very confident about next week, so I reckon we might be in for a good one. He's very confident, so
He's
fingers crossed.
He's always confident in our Tom until he gets that first off track and he gets angry with himself. But thanks for joining us, Elliot, and good luck for next week, mate.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
Cheers, mate. So there was Elliot. Elliot there, our race 2 winner. I mean, it was a great race. I was a bit skeptical at the start when we saw Donington on there. It wasn't my track of choice. It was our illustrious leader, Tom Bingham, who chose this track. But I think in the end, it was actually a success, Dave.
Yeah, Donington's a success with everybody. Okay, it's not too far away from my house, but that's probably why. No, Donington's always produces good racing. There's overtaking chances all the way around the circuit. GT cars, yeah, quite powerful, get round pretty quick round this circuit. It's known as a touring car circuit, but I think they produced some great racing here tonight. Created mistakes as well, which these drivers can't have it easy all the time. So next week, nice easy 13-mile circuit of the Green Hell to get around.
Yeah, it definitely is. And obviously that brings us to the end of this very long and extended broadcast around Donington Park race circuit. But I have been Andy Thompson. I've had Dave alongside me, and a big thank you to Lewis as well in our production, having to plug the gap in the middle. Always the unsung heroes are the production leader there in the back. So a big shout out to you, Lewis. And also big shout out to our sponsors, because without them, we would not be able to put the league on. Performance Link, Green Future Technology, TC Simography, STK Gaming, and Extreme Scoring. So that is it for Donington Park. We are back in a week's time for the Green Hell, which I'm pretty sure will be an entertaining race. All the drivers are looking forward to it. I hope you can join us for that entertaining race, an hour-long race around the Nords. So please, if you like this broadcast, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, click that subscribe button, click the bell, and it gets you told when Performance Link goes live. And don't miss out from the podcast on Wednesday, where me and Dave will be dissecting the ins and outs of Donington Park. But until then, from myself, good night.